Alright, so we take a look at the options here on the strike. So from here, our opponent or our player has got two options. One, you can go down the wall and pitch it back here, which is a pretty good option, or the option he's chosen is to virtually mimic a return, mimic a serve. So he's going to basically just play that shot. Either one of the two is really no problem at all, as long as you get it off the volley, and he's done that really quite well. It's actually pretty good because it's taken out any cross court. You see his opponent's body, he can't possibly go cross court from there, not with any form of control. So he knows that he's going to go down the wall. So he could move in a little bit more if he wanted to and encroach a bit, but he's doing pretty well. Okay, so from here, he sees the ball's really slow, and so for this you can attack with a strong body on a rising ball, just dropping, the ball's just dropping. Alright, so from here, once again, the options are the cross court or down the wall. Either one is no trouble whatsoever because there's no pace on the ball. He's got a really good body position, and so it's really, really quite simple for him. He's chosen to go cross court and hasn't got it wide enough. But he's in a good court position, so his opponent's just defending the ball and putting it back. This one is a little bit more attacking because he's got a position of body on the ball. So he can choose, obviously, to go here, pitch the ball down there, which would have been a good shot, or go across court, which is what he's chosen to do. And that's a good shot as well. Either one of the two from here, but what the cross court will do is turn his opponent. So instead of him running straight, so we look at his opponent's movements, what happens is he can run straight from here to there. He can run straight from here up to there. He's got a pretty good line, but this way he's got to turn around and go back and go to a weaker side, so the backhand is weaker. So the forehand's quite strong on most players, and so is the front court's very, very strong. So you've got to be careful if you're going to play short shots, depending on how much body strength you've got on the position that you strike the ball, and how well you're actually hitting those shots as well. So we'll follow from here. He's chosen to go with the cross court. See the movement. You see, because the other side was open, the forehand was open. We'll just watch that again. Because the forehand was open, sorry, we'll go for the volley. I'll catch up to the volley. Here we go. Okay, so from here, because the forehand is open down the wall, his movements are very much towards the front corner and towards the side, the forehand side, and that's how much work he's got to do. So that's what I was talking to you about, work. So what it means is by turning your opponent, so instead of actually having them run in a straight line straight through here and over here, or a virtual straight, almost straight line like a cross and then there, all of a sudden it's a big amount of work to go that way and then change back that way. It's just a lot more work. It's heaps more work on your body. So turning your opponent will wear them out. This is what will happen. It's what cross courts can do. Right, so it's finished a little bit short, so he's under stress. He's not in full control of his body, and he's opted for a flick cross court, which is not a bad shot depending on how well you hit the ball. Once again, it's in the middle, and he's gone with a tuck cross court, no shoulders. So this is the same story of our opponent moving one way and then having to come back. So I'll watch his body drop. So it's just simply turning him and putting work into his body there, and now he's got to go back again. And it's a bit too deep, this one. It comes up off the back wall. Then we get into down the wall. Just going to jag this cross court. This is a dangerous shot. If you haven't got body on the ball, you've got to be very, very careful because this shot here is he's very capable of volleying it if he gets onto it. But if your opponent hasn't been volleying, then this is a wonderful option once again because he's going to turn him and you just stroll. Look how easy it was to get to the tee. And now your opponent's behind you and you're on the tee. Okay, he's forced to boast. This one is a nice wide shot. So what happens? The cross court needs to hit behind your opponent's line. So your opponent has a line which goes up and down the court with him. So that moves with him as he moves up and down the court. So as he moves this way and that way, that line will be moving up and down with him. Now all he has to do is pitch the ball behind that line plus one step. So he's cross court. he just needs to get this shot, which has gone from there, it should be green, we'll go that way, across and behind his opponent's line. So if he can get it behind his opponent's line, then we're looking pretty good. And even level with the opponent on the side wall. So you can't volley that because he's gone really wide, and where it hits the side wall is actually level with his opponent. So his opponent is here, and it's pretty much level with his opponent where it hits, so it's the furthest way for him to go. So that's a pretty good cross court, although it's going to finish a little bit wide. But if you look at what's going on, so it's finished deep. Once again, you can't cross court that. He's got no body on the ball, and he's not in a position to actually put any pace or power on the ball. So he's got nothing once again, so he's kept him off balance. And this one, because it's a reasonable outcome of shot, he's just gone down the wall, which is fine. And he's flicked it open. So he's gone with a lazy flick. And that would have been nice to be a little bit shorter, but it's no trouble. And here we go. This one here is the one we really should be attacking off. And that's because you basically, you've got that system where our opponent once again is coming into the tee. So our opponent's coming in this way, and we can turn him around once again. So you've got to get that turn. It's much harder to turn and run than it is to run. Down the wall would have been terrific, no drama at all. A fading drive would have been great, but it's still, once again, just a peel straight back. And his body motion's already going roughly, not totally in that direction, but not far off. So the cross court. So he had to drop his whole body, goes for the ball. It's finished it a bit short, and he's only got a defensive drive. This one's a little bit more careful with this one. He's gone in on the volley, and there's no pace on it once again. So he's not got a body on the ball, so he's just lifted it up. This will change positions. And this is where it gets messy. Okay, so he's chosen to play a boast. And from here, a little attacking drop shot. It's a bit of an altercation, unfortunately, but it really opens up an opportunity here. Okay, so this one here is a no-look cross court. He's not going to go short, and he's not going to go short because I'll actually go back a couple of frames. Okay, so if he'd gone short here, what happens is his opponent's already at the front of the court. So his opponent's already there. So it's really only like 2 steps to there. 2 big steps, by the way. And it's a position where he can get to really quite easily because he's got a high court position because that's where he started from. So the option, the real option and the best option, which is the option that he's chosen, is to turn his opponent once again. So he's going to go from here, across there, back across here, or maybe onto the floor. Either way, the cross court, watch our opponent's body, just watch what happens. He's got to cover the short shot, and his whole body just drops. It's a massive amount of work. The ball's there, and he just can't get it. So it's a real effort. So this is going to knock him around a fair bit. Once again, he's just got to pitch the ball behind his opponent. Okay, so the ball lands there, our opponent's line. This is our opponent's line, so we've gotten the ball just behind that line, so that's pretty good. A little bit deeper would have been perfect, but never mind. That shot that he played, I just want you to show you just how he snapped up. So from here, he's going to lift his legs when he snaps up. So what happens is he can lift his body up. He's going to go from there, and he lifts and doesn't turn his shoulders, so he's not showing his opponent what he's doing. So he lifts cross court, and then the ball goes down the back behind his opponent, and he scrambles it back to the pressure and stress he's under. How much work that is. That's just having an attrition value on his opponent at the same time, so it's going to be good for the next rally as well. Once again here, the opponent is really having the cover. So he's got a short swing. Go back and show that again. So he's got a short swing here. Short swing, which drags his opponent forward. So see his opponent's coming forward really quickly to cover the short shot because there's no backswing or very little backswing. And he stabs cross court without turning shoulders too much. Once again, it's the same story. See how much stress he's under? Our opponent in the middle is under massive stress. He could keep this going forever. So if he plays another boast, he'll just play another cross court. or down the wall, but generally cross court's going to turn him. So once again, that motion of having to go that way and then come back that way is seriously difficult. And so once again, we're looking to bounce the ball or land the ball behind your opponent, and lands there. So now we're well behind the opponent. So the opponent's line is right up here at this stage of the game. So all he had to do was land it behind that, and it's going at a reasonable pace. So it's quite a good shot into the side wall. Mine's going down towards the back wall under massive stress, and he just can't get it back. All right, so it's all about the deceptive component from the front court. It's dragging opponent forward with a short swing and lifting your body and snapping the ball cross court from the front. So you just don't turn your body and smash the thing as hard as you can when you cross court from the front. You make sure that you use a little bit of deception, drag your opponent forward, which opens the back of the court. So all the other drives, it was all about landing the ball, making sure it lands on the floor, then the side wall. So all these cross courts from here, these ones here, they needed to. This one here is a good shot. It's a cross court that needs to hit level with your opponent on the side wall, which is what he's done. We'll go back even further and have a look at one of these cross courts. Okay. So that one there just needed to hit the floor, which is what it did, but slightly deeper would have been better. So from here, the volley return should have been slightly deeper, but he's under stress and not got much on it. So make sure your cross courts to the floor. So these are the ones, cross court to the floor, then it binds, but he's gone slightly deep. He needed to get that over just ever so slightly further. So the rules are really quite simple. From the front, you hold, and you use the short swing to drag your opponent forward. You might sacrifice a little bit of power, but you get all the outcomes deep. It opens up the back of the court. From the back of the court, when you're cross-courting, you need to go and drive somewhere around about the floor here. So the ball comes across, goes over here, then goes up, and then goes down towards the back wall. If you can get that happening, it'll only result in a boast, which is what you want, so you can get that attacking shot from the front of the court, or a flick down the wall lob. So what you're doing with cross courts is you're making your opponent play the shots you want them to play. So you've got to clear the volley, number one, and then you've got to try and hit the floor, number two. And sometimes the side wall really low is really good as well. So sometimes down here, sometimes side wall down here is really good. It is really good because the ball will then basically come in, hit here, and go bounce, bounce, bounce. So the side wall is really good as well if you hit it really low, but it's not so good if you hit it too high because it comes back out to the middle of the court. So you've got to be a little bit careful with your side wall. All right, so basically you'll work out what the options are from where you are. From the back of the court, hit the floor if you can, bind the ball, look for the boast, come in early on the boast, hold your shot, drag him forward, pitch it deep again. Or you can go with the early boast and play a drop. Go early off the boast and play a drop if your opponent has just sort of flicked the thing in. So you need to understand where your opponent is a little bit and try and use your peripheral vision and your understanding with noise and where he's running and all that sort of gear as well. All right, so cross courts are fantastic. They just basically create less options for your opponent. So the last thing I'll say is if I was to drive straight down the wall from here, up here and down here, what happens is your opponent can easily from there, they can drive down the wall, which is what happens all the time, or they can cross court. So it gives them options, but if you bind the ball in the back corner, it takes out the options. They could also play a boast from there as well. If you bind the ball in the back corner, the only options are a flick high, if you get it well, that is, or the boast. And the boast is the one you want them to play. So you want to force a boast. And a cross court will force a boast. That's one of the best ways to force a boast. And that's a position of absolute dominance on the court. So cross courts are absolutely awesome if they're played well. And the last thing I'll say is the biggest answer to a cross court is to take a rising ball. So in these two areas here, in the center of the court, here, through here, and here, through here, if you can take a rising ball, and you go cross court fast with action on the ball, it's pretty phenomenal. What that does, it's very hard to straighten the cross ball. So you can't put it on the wall because the ball's coming across. So the ball's coming across this way. It's very hard to straighten it up. You can't put it on the wall because it's going to go in there and then across the side wall, but then it will come back out. So it will come away from the side wall. So it's really hard to keep it on the wall unless you strike it when it's almost on the wall. So cross courts will actually give you the volley if they play a full return. So I hope I've explained all that because it's a little bit involved and it's a little bit full on. But anyway, get into your cross courts, take a rising ball through the center of the court, drag it cross court, and look for the poor drive, and you can volley the next one short, or look for the boast and attack the boast with either a really early drop or a hold and go deep again. Okay, there you go. That is your cross courts, and they are fantastic.